Last weekend, Kingston Flemings authored a legitimately special college freshman performance. 42 points on 68 true shooting against Texas Tech, alongside 6 assists with 2 turnovers and a couple steals. And even though his Houston squad wasn't able to win the game, this was one of the most impressive prospect performances of the cycle and of the last couple cycles. According to my film-based grades, this was one of the 25 or so best offensive games of the cycle. According to David Lee's daily RAPM estimate metric, it was one of the best games of the cycle as well. However you cut it, Kingston Flemings was special against Texas Tech, and I want to break down how he did it. Slashing and speed are the bedrocks of Kingston Flemings' game. 6'3", 6'4" guard with lightning quick burst that helps him go coast to coast in an instant. And he was able to do all of this in high school as well. It's incredible how easy he made the game look back then, and he's honestly doing the same thing against the best college athletes in the NCAA. Flemings' ability to crack the paint and pressure the basket in the half court rivals some of the best guard prospects we've seen in recent years. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, De'Aaron Fox, Kingston Flemings, Ja Morant, all of those guys just destroying the basket, Dylan Harper as well. It's not normal, the level that Flemings can pressure the rim, and he is so incredibly explosive and just makes the game look incredibly easy. And it's dangerous when he changes speeds. Look at Flemings hesitating and blowing by the defender. He freezes JT Toppin and drop, and that's an easy bucket. And he's a monster behind the back driver as well. When he can stop on a dime, change directions, and change speeds, he's nearly impossible to guard, and he's been doing this all season even without the tightest handle in the world, on the back of his sheer explosiveness and burst. It's a sight to watch. Even in a stellar game like Flemings had, you can still see some potential issues and weaknesses, and Flemings' driving process is not perfect, especially to his left. His left hand touch just isn't as silky and soft as his strong right hand. That definitely extends to his playmaking as well, more on that later. And Flemings, it makes sense with all of his speed, definitely rushes on drives. It is absurd how high he can jump. Sometimes Flemings will lose the ball simply because he is too fast for his hands to react. And there's some of these moments where it's not uncommon for young players, especially ones as explosive as Flemings, to play a little bit sped up. And it'll definitely benefit Flemings to slow down and play with more patience, as Flemings also tends to pick the ball up a bit too early on drives, as is the case with so many young guards. Flemings leaps through the air and glides, but this is a more difficult shot than it needs to be. Flemings could simply dribble into this extra space and make his life way easier in terms of a finish or drawing fouls. And most electric downhill driving point guards like Flemings do not shoot the basketball like he does, especially in the mid-range. He is an excellent pick and roll pull-up mid-range shooter, and he is always hunting his drives to the left. Flemings drives to the left far more often than he drives to the right. He's not as efficient on these drives to the left, interestingly, but that definitely could be because of volume and sample size noise. But you can see Flemings hunting that left elbow area on his drives, and he will freeze defenders and blow by into that space to hop over for his jumper. He'll set up his quick crossovers with hesitation moves, threatening the pull-up jumper, again, getting to that open left side of the floor. And even when Flemings drives to his right, it's often to set up a move back to his left. Once again, he busts out the behind-the-back dribble and gets to his shot, and he's definitely not as comfortable driving to his right. We see on a play like this, the open area of the court is to Flemings' right, and he's just not as comfortable contorting and twisting his body in that direction, and you see the shot miss, but he does end up making up for that, getting closer to the basket on a similar play later in the game. And Flemings can fall back on his jumper a little bit too much. We saw it at times in this game, but it's understandable considering how much space he can create off the dribble. He's so good stopping on a dime and hitting a step back or a snatch back to create space, and he has just ridiculous deep shot making chops that you don't see from players this age and this level of athleticism, but he's definitely not as comfortable an off the catch shooter. Flemings takes more threes off the dribble than he does off the catch, and on some of these closeout attacks, he doesn't even really look at the rim. He's immediately looking to drive, and of course he gets a lot of good shots this way, but there were some catch and shoot three flashes, and he's very efficient on these shots. But Flemings' three-point volume is going to be something to track, but man, his on-ball shooting is absolutely phenomenal, and his on-ball playmaking directly benefits from that. Even though Flemings sometimes plays a bit sped up, as we talked about earlier, he is remarkably poised for a guard his age and level of talent and athleticism. He rarely forces shots on drives when he plays off 2 feet and picks up the ball and plays patiently, and some of his best on-ball scoring moments come when he's manipulating pace, changing directions with his handle, and toying with defenses to get to the free throw line. But Flemings is an excellent playmaker. He's great at passing to the basket, finding interior players, and that's a dropped pocket pass right there. That was a nice read. Flemings is not a perfect passer by any means, and this is definitely a difficult pass over the top to number 14. Flemings settles for a decent look at the mid-range, and it's not an easy pass by any means, but it's the kind of plays that high-level elite passers make. And this is definitely something I've noticed throughout the season. Here's another example against Arkansas, where Flemings has the laydown pass from a botched pick and roll coverage, but just doesn't take it and ends up kicking out the play. So it's not a negative play, but it is an easy layup or dunk attempt left off the table. But these are mostly nitpicks regarding Flemings' passing. He is phenomenal, especially as a skip passer, crosses over Christian Anderson, whips the ball to the weak side of the court, and most freshmen don't have the off-dribble chops and the vision to notice the empty space on the court. Notice that Texas Tech has their defense packed in the paint, and that is a good look at 3 in the NBA for an NBA shooter. And Flemings is also elite on deep drive and kicks. He is an absolute blur off the dribble. It is ridiculous. Also like him relocating out to the 3, but you can maybe argue Fleming should have bounced or lobbed it to Tugler at the basket, but number 1 was sliding down in help, so ultimately I don't hate the read out to, once again, the open space in the corner, and once again, it is ridiculous how high Flemings gets up. His head is at the rim. This is a special vertical athlete. But we're talking about passing, and Flemings' scoring gravity can bend defenses, and there wasn't even a screen set on this play. Houston loves these guard-guard screens. Flemings rejects it, and his step back creates space, forces Anderson to worry about him, and that leaves just enough space for Uzan to knock down the 3, and Houston loves these ghost and pick and pop actions. This time earlier in the game, Texas Tech tries to switch, but they're just a little bit late. And a playmaker with Fleming's IQ and processing makes it really hard to make mistakes against him and get away with it. And most of this game was Flemings' offensive explosion, but we saw some of what makes him a very strong defensive prospect. He's not technically sound or in the minutia of team defense, but that's what you should expect from freshmen his age. But what you should not expect are plays like this, where he anticipates the pocket pass, reads that, and nabs a steal. Flemings also has the awareness and the verticality to impact some plays at the rim, and he really is a winning player. He makes clutch hustle plays, offensive rebounds, blocks. He's the kind of guy who isn't just going to hog the ball and only care about points and scoring. He really is going to put in extra effort, and that motor sets him apart from a lot of lead guard prospects who just don't put in the same kind of effort on defense and on the glass. This was the best of quite a few special offensive performances from Flemings already this season. To me, aside from Darren Peterson, he's clearly the second best guard prospect in the class. His intersection of pull-up shot making, exceptional rim pressure, and playmaking put him in rare air and give him an easy pathway to true star upside as an on and hopefully off-ball guard as he improves his catch and shooting and his closeout process, and of course with the defensive chops to potentially add some real value on that end as well. If you weren't sold on Flemings before, I'm sure you are now. It's hard not to be after watching a game like that, and that's why Flemings is is going to be a top 5 pick in the 2026 NBA draft, or potentially even higher, depending on how he finishes out the season.